Now, Porsche has never been known to play by the rules. I mean, just take a look at the Cayenne. It was something that purists complained about when they first launched it. But hey, looking at it now, the Cayenne saved the brand actually. And so people now were thinking, okay, we have all this whole electrification evolution going on, and definitely Porsche won't go there, right? Now, we're actually with the car that's probably going to raise a lot more eyebrows. Because we thought that Porsche, number one, wouldn't go electric, which they did in some of their models. Then number two, the assumption was it would keep the hallowed name of the 911 pristine and pure, meaning just ICE all the way, right? Well, now we're with an example that is a harbinger, if you will, of the things to come from the Stuttgart brand. We have with us here the Porsche 911 Carrera GTS T-Hybrid. Alright, if you're wondering, you're not watching a flip video. I'm actually driving on the left side of the road because I'm driving a right-hand vehicle. Everyday parlance, this is the Porsche 911 Carrera GTS T-Hybrid. Wait, what? T-Hybrid? Porsche has decided to go electric for the 911, but not in the way that it has gone electric for, say, the Macan. This is not a BEV just yet, but it's not the traditional hybrid form that we are probably accustomed to in the Philippines. Smoothens out, if you will, or fills in the gaps that the 911, with its touted prowess, is also prone to have, such as turbo lag and stuff like that. We're going to get into it in a little more detail, but suffice it to say that from our experience driving it here, this is a massive improvement, I would say, even from your usual ICE powered Porsche 911. Of course, there will be critics, and as Brendan Mack, we will interview later, has mentioned, Porsche is pretty much, specifically the 911, has been pretty much used to be the butt of jokes and criticisms throughout its 8 generations. Okay. Hello there and welcome to Thailand, specifically to Chiang Mai, where we're at to actually enjoy, well, we have enjoyed it and we're still looking forward to enjoy some more summer seat time behind the wheel of the 992.2. So we're joined here by my good friend Brendan Mock from Porsche Asia Pacific, who will explain to us exactly what Porsche's up to with electrifying the 911. So, my friend,
good to see you.
Always nice to travel with you and to talk to you.
Exactly. Hope you're having a great time on this drive.
Oh yeah, very much so. And my gosh, electrified. We never thought that would happen to the 911.
Yep, okay. You and every other purist out there, right?
Can you walk us through perhaps the decision-making process or the choice to have an electrified 911 at this time?
Yeah, absolutely, Cap. And first of all, it was such a good time to welcome you at this drive in Thailand. So really good to have you here. So from Porsche perspective, it is, somewhat inevitable in that sense because we are looking at, the need for power, for the performance to remain at the same level or higher than before. We're always wanting to deliver, elevated performance and elevated figures in terms of, output and such. Mm-hmm. So when you contrast that against, the need for emissions, as well as some countries even outlawing conventional ICE models, right? So if you have an ICE model, you potentially could not sell it in the future in a certain market, right? So that's why we had to sort of come up with the controversial decision of going hybrid, right? But this is not the first time that the Porsche 911 has been controversial, right? If you look at the history of the Porsche 911, so many times we've had some controversy, like for example, in the 996 generation, we went from air-cooled to water-cooled, and everybody was up in arms, right? But, the car still delivered better performance, and eventually, everyone also accepted it. So that's what we're thinking here as well, that with this hybrid technology, hopefully from the performance that you've seen today, even the purists are going to eventually accept the fact that the 911 can be hybrid and still retain that sort of Porsche soul and still be very much a 911 at heart.
That's right. Now, yes, to your point, yes, we had some seat time with the T-Hybrid, and I must say, yes, it hasn't lost its soul. In fact, if I may say so, it's sort of like smoothened out the edges, if you will, or filled in the gaps that were perhaps there in the previous iterations of the 911. Like we noticed, Brendan, that, for instance, there was absolutely like no turbo lag.
Yep.
And the experience, actually, you mentioned this also, to us, try the starter out, right? When we started it, it was like from 0 to fully alive in like no time. There's no cranking, there was no delay. It was like, okay, it's off, and now it's on.
Yep.
It's off. Oh wait, now it's on again. So, I guess one of the thoughts that went through my mind is like, one of the things is that it smoothed out perhaps the imperfections of the 911, if you could call those that, and also sort of getting the best of both worlds. I still felt the soul, or maybe the roar of the engine, and yet because it was electrified, or it is electrified, power was like instantaneous. There was no spooling that usually happens in turbocharged engines, right?
Yep.
Does this reflect sort of the future ethos for the 911? Of course, I'm also noting that the ICE, or the conventional powered 911s, will continue to be sold by Porsche.
Talk a little bit about that hybrid system that you talked about, where I kind of wanted to share about how why you're feeling the way you're feeling when you're driving the new GTS, right? And like you said, the T-Hybrid system is really innovative and revolutionary in a sense that the first one talking about the crank, right? There's no more cranking because the engine now does not have a starter. It doesn't have a belt drive or a pulley system anymore because we can run all the systems like aircon, power steering, things that used to be run on the engine, we can now run electrically. So we have an onboard electric system that runs all of these systems.
And no more belts.
No more belts, exactly. Of course, there's still a timing chain, but it doesn't have to drive anything else but the cams and everything. So what results is more power, right? The engine's got more power, but also you get that really strange sensation where there's no more cranking. You just press the start button and it goes boom, you know, it just fires to life. Yeah, so that's something to get used to. And yeah, you know, that T-Hybrid system really eliminates the lag. So what we've got is a three-part system. We've got a 1.9 kilowatt hour lightweight battery in the front. And then we've got an E-motor that's inside the transmission. And we've got an electric turbo that's on the side of the engine. So the electric motor inside the transmission supplies like something like 54 horsepower. The electric turbo supplies another 15 horsepower. And the engine itself is 478 horsepower. So all in all, we've got 541 horsepower. And the purpose of this hybrid is not so much for efficiency. Of course, efficiency is also there, you know, but mainly the energy is used to fill in the gaps. So like you say, rounding out the edges, you know, making the car just instantaneous when it comes to the power delivery. You know, it's all because we have this electric turbo filling and also the electric motor filling the gaps in the power. So what you're really going to feel is that burst, that initial burst of power from this GTS is absolutely out of this world, right? Oh, yeah. And regarding your last question, you know, about will this be the way forward? You know, this is the first time that Porsche is implementing a hybrid system on the 911, and I guess we'll have to wait and see, you know, where this goes afterwards. Like if the fans love it, you know, and if the fans enjoy it, then, you know, why not? It could continue, right? But drawing back again to the 996 generation, you know, where we tried to change the shape of the headlights and everybody said, no, not those headlights, you know. And we went back to round after that, and they're still round today. So, so we do take people's feedback into consideration.
Okay, okay. Now, of course, this was launched, officially launched globally last year. Have you had any, can you share with us some feedback from the markets that do have this now, and perhaps have some sort of maturity already in terms of they already have owners of these machines?
We've already had some customer deliveries in Singapore. I believe the car was just launched in the Philippines as well.
Recently, yes.
Yep, and it also won the World Car of the Year.
Car.
Exactly. So, you know, already making some cool awards there. And yeah, you know, the feedback has been absolutely positive. And yeah, you know, this hybrid system is really delivering as intended, right? It's supposed to be like a mild hybrid system, but supercharged, you know, really to kind of make the driving experience completely on another level.
Okay, I think the hate, if you will call it hate, or maybe some sort of hesitation, maybe that comes from the word hybrid itself. You know, maybe a lot of people have various or different opinions of the term, possibly both positive and negative. So, but then again, as you mentioned, the word hybrid, as used by Porsche, is very different from the hybrids that you see in other cars, okay? So we're very clear about that. As you said, this is not your hybrid that is meant to go longer on a finite level of fuel, okay? It's not built for that. But if I may say so, it's built to sort of maximize the performance that you can get also from the 3.6 liter engine.
That's right.
So,
yeah. So it is a completely different system. Yeah, there are no charging ports, for example, on the 911 GTS T-Hybrid.
I say hooray.
So it is a hybrid, but, you know, not quite in the conventional sense, like you have mentioned. Yeah.
All right. So why the decision to hold this event here in Chiang Mai,
Absolutely,
Thailand?
Absolutely. And I think the reason for doing this event in Chiang Mai is because we need to understand the philosophy of the 911 GTS, right? It's not quite the Carrera, right, the base Carrera, but it's also not quite the very track-focused GT3. So this is like a balance, if you will, between road and racing, right? And so we wanted a place that you could explore those abilities, and where better than the winding, beautiful mountain roads of Chiang Mai. Right?
Oh, there you go. I like the word balance because that's basically what GTS models are, right? They're a delicate balance between everyday usability and track performance. The T-Hybrid is a balancing act too for Porsche. Electrification versus your conventional ICE, right?
That's right.
So it's all about balance, right, Brendan?
That's it, and that's where you find harmony.
All right. I will drink to that. But don't drink and drive. Okay. All right, so there you go, from Chiang Mai, Thailand, with my good friend Brendan Mock of Porsche Asia Pacific. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Absolutely, likewise, Pat.
All right, okay, so for Uncapped, this has been Cap Maceda Aguila. We'll see you guys soon. Bye. And if you haven't yet, please do click like and subscribe to Uncapped.